Hi everybody, welcome back to Bree's Books and Budgets. I am Bree and I'm here to give you an update about some of the books that I have read for the month of November. I'm only going to talk about the ones that I have physically that I went ahead and read, and one of the books is Wildcard by Elsie Silver. I actually gave this, I apologize for looking down, I gave this 4.75 stars on Fable. I really enjoyed it. It's not quite a 5-star for me, but I really enjoyed it. The audio was perfect. I was laughing at some of the things that were going on, and Sebastian and Gwen are a great couple. And so this actually concludes the Rose Hill series by Elsie Silver. I think she has a new series coming out starting next year, so I'm excited for that. Another book that I read is The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. I really enjoyed this one as well. I gave this one 4.5 stars on Fable. It was definitely a lot spicier than the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, and this is the second in the Dream Harbor series. So I'm interested to see what happens with the rest of the series. I believe for the month of December I'm going to read The Christmas Tree Farm because it's about Christmas trees and hopefully it's more of a holiday novel versus not one. Another book that I read is Andy Weir's Project Hail Mary. I actually listened to the audio of this book and I'm really glad that I did because the audio brought a lot of things to light that I wouldn't have been able to figure out in my head how to say, pronounce, or how to put it together. So the audio for this was really, really good. I gave this 5 stars and I'm looking forward to the movie. I read My Friends by Fredrik Backman. I enjoyed this story. I gave it a 3.75 stars on Fable. I thought it was a well-paced book. Was it a 5-star? No, it wasn't. It didn't quite have that 5-star feeling, but it was a really good book to read. I can see why it's on the Goodreads Choice Award for audiobook. It was an excellent audiobook. I highly recommend checking this out. Another book that I read physically is The Things Gods Break by Abigail Owen. Look at these pretty sprayed edges. This was a really good book. I gave it 4.5 stars. It is the second in a trilogy. I believe the third one is going to come out sometime next year, so I'm excited to see the conclusion. It is a loose retelling about Hades and Persephone. It's also brings in the Greek gods and the Titans, and it talks about even the Roman gods, the Greeks' counterparts, and things like that. So I highly recommend this book, but make sure you read the first one, otherwise you're going to be a little confused about what's going on with this one. I finished A Cursed Carved in Bone. This is the second of the Unfated Saga duology by Danielle L. Jensen. I gave this 3.75 stars. There were definitely some things that I think could have been done a little bit differently, could have been done better, but it was a good conclusion to the story, and so I can't complain about that. I'm glad that we got certain things resolved and we were able to figure out what was going on. Another book I read is Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. I read this as part of the Goodreads thriller category just to see which book that I liked better, because I did read Gone Before Goodbye by Reese Witherspoon and Harlan Coben, I think his name is. So I was trying to read a couple other ones to decide which one I really wanted to vote for. This I'm going to give a 3 stars on Fable. I thought it was good. The twist I did not expect, but I felt that there could have been 1 or 2 more twists done with this. It was my first Alice Feeney book, so I don't really know how to compare it to her other books, but this was a pretty good book. I read A Promised Land by Barack Obama. I really enjoyed this. I do not give out ratings for nonfiction books because they're so hard to rate, because I would rate them very differently than the way that I rate some of the fiction books that I read, romance, fantasy, romanticy, all that type of thing. So it wouldn't be fair to rate a non-fiction book, but I do highly recommend this book. I found the perspective of history that he has of what was going on with his campaign and during the first years of his presidency were absolutely awesome. I can't wait for the second part of this book to come out. We don't know when that will be, but I do recommend picking this up. And so that is what I have read physically or via audio and the physical book. And the books that I have read via Kindle are Survival of the Fritters. That was an interesting book. I gave it a 3.75 stars. It is definitely a cozy mystery, and I am not big on cozy mysteries a whole lot. I find them enjoyable. I just don't find them to be 5-star reads, but they're a good palate cleanser for me, just to have something light and fluffy to read. I also read Intercepts by T.J. Payne. That was a very interesting horror novel. And I gave that, what did I give that? I gave that 4 stars. It wasn't the best, but I really loved the concept of it. So we did that one. And that is all that I have read so far for the month of November. I will check in back later. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.